All right, welcome back, everybody, to the SilmFilm script discussion, season 2, episode 10. We're in the double digits now. We've got a lot of fun. We got a lot of really cool stuff to cover. One thing, before I forget, I have to put the link for Mythmoot 4 up in the chat on the side if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, you'll find down below in the description box, there'll be a link for Mythmoot 4. While I'm doing that, Marie, could you tell us a little bit about Mythmoot?
Sure. Mythmoot is a conference held by Signum people celebrating fantasy, sci-fi, Tolkien, and whatever else they feel like doing. It's going to be in June 1st through 4th, and it's going to be near DC, Dulles Airport, and it should be a lot of fun. The SilmFilm project was actually announced for the first time at Mythmoot 3. Mm-hmm. So Mythmoot 4 will be the follow-up to that event.
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh, and if you register by December 31st, I think there's a discount. So.
Oh, that's cutting it really close. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I haven't registered myself yet, and I definitely want to take advantage of said discount. All right, awesome.
Yeah, same here.
So things we have to do in this episode. We need to have Feanor draw a sword on Fingolfin. That's the biggest one. What else do we need to have?
We also need Galadriel and her brothers, to some time in Alcalande with their cousins or other relatives down there to establish that connection between their families. We have not done it to this point, and it sounds like next episode is going to be strictly informing us, so pretty much last chance to develop that connection, and it's necessary. Also, we need Melkor to be a bit of a fortune teller and to kind of say some things that hint at the futures of some of the Noldor. We need Caranthir to be introduced as a tale teller of bringing back bad gossip and repeating it to his family.
Yeah.
I feel really badly that that's how Caranthir's character is going to be used.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else are you going to do? He's kind of a bad guy most of the...
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
so they didn't see the need to do anything.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, those are the main things.
We also need to really start. We need to get ourselves to the sword drawing moment. So that means we need to have forging of weapons in this episode.
Also, we need to introduce the concept that there's a second race called men out there.
Yeah.
That happens.
Indeed.
Okay. So one thing that I do not want to do in this episode, which is something that the hosts had been asking for, but in the discussion that I was having with Hakan on the boards, if I feel like it would be better to move the sentencing, the banishment of Feanor to episode 11 rather than having that here in episode 10. Because first thing, episode 11 is really bare. Second thing,
I think there's enough that we can do with episode 11. I'm not too worried about that, but it is focused on formats. That's true.
Right, and that means that if we don't have an opportunity to tell the story of how the Valar got to that point, we're either going to mess up the story structure in episode 11, or we're not going to tell that story. Which I don't want to have happen.
Yeah, well, I know that. The request to put that information in episode 12 is not undoable. So
11.
We just have to think about... No, 12.
Oh.
The story of the Valar can go into 12, and then, this can go into 11. But so there's a few things that are getting pushed down the road, and the question is how they're all going to fit nicely together.
Right. Well,
so
here's my problem. The more it seems like the more that we differentiate from the text, the bigger the problems become. Okay, so if we say the elves don't know that Melkor's on the land, well, in the book they know, because they're right there when the Valar figure it out, and they see Telkos go out after him. So, when we change that, we're basically saying, hey, remember how back when they first released Melkor, we said, hey, kids, remember that guy who tried to burn down the house and kill you all when you were babies? Well, he's coming to live with us now, and he says he's sorry, so everything's cool now. Well, now we know that he's still out to get them, and we don't bother telling them, which I don't buy that the Valar don't say anything about it.
I agree with you on that point, but the idea was, when do we tell the audience that versus when do we tell the Noldor that versus when do we tell, or when did the Valar figure it out? So there's a few different things to play with, and by focusing on Formenos being an isolated location where Feanor is not accepting messages from the Valar, it's possible that he doesn't know because he didn't let himself know, but the Valar tried to tell him. So there's ways of doing it where the Valar don't look like they were negligent. It's just that Feanor's camp is behind on the news. We can do it that way.
Okay.
Which is an issue for next episode. The question is whether to end this episode with the drawing of the sword or with Eonway's pronouncement. And I think that it was also specifically requested.
I know. I don't think that they're necessarily always aware of how much of a departure things are when they request them, though. As evidenced by the fact that they were requesting elves not being at the trial of Melkor. Anyway.
But that's another issue. Okay. One way we can do it is if we have the Anwai show up at the end of this episode and just say that Feanor has been banished, and then end the episode without dealing with any of the fallout from that. Then we would start the next episode with the, what do you mean he's banished? And then we would get a little bit more of the story, and that's when Finwë would say his piece about being unkinged, the beginning of the exile to Formenos, instead of starting in Formenos already. So I think we have the opportunity to kind of cut off right in the middle of that whole scene and put bits of it in both episodes to kind of leave it a little bit of a surprise ending or a cliffhanger sort. I mean, not really a cliffhanger, but tune in next week for the rest of what happens. Kind of.
Right. Which, quite honestly, I feel like we could do the same with the drawing of the sword moment itself. I mean, we don't necessarily have to.
We can't end the episode with the drawing of the sword.
No. I mean, we end the. What I'm saying is, we end the episode with Fingolfin storming off. The only thing I would say is maybe with the Valar finding out about the incident. Have that be part of the tag.
Yeah, and that was the reason to send Eonwë to show that the Valar knew. But not to show what the Valar knew, just that they know. Hello, Cass.
Yes, this is Bosco. He's being very friendly tonight.
So
he's been all over the place, jumping on top of me, but that's the first time I think he's shown up on camera. He's been here and there, and
All right.
Mine is on the whole side of the room. So.
My dog is safely upstairs. So it's interesting. What do you think that we want to do as far as a protagonist for this episode? Because the two candidates kind of feel like Fingolfin and Feanor.
So the obvious choice would be Fingolfin, since we made Feanor the protagonist of the Silmarillion episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And I feel like the more we show of Fingolfin, the more we can make him look like part of the problem without completely destroying the character.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we can have a lot more nuance if the story's mostly told from his point of view.
Right. Okay.
And from that point of view, if he's the protagonist, ending with him storming off to find his brother, Finarfin, is maybe doable. I just feel like it leaves things a little open-ended as to like, wait a minute, what just happened there, and what's the consequence of this going to be? Like, I feel there needs to be something to clue the audience in that it wasn't, and then everyone just turned around and went back to their daily business. Like,
yeah.
Life goes on. It's not the response to Feanor drawing a sword right there. So it can't. That's what I meant by it can't just end right there. We need to do something to show
what I would suggest in that situation is, rather than having Eonwë miraculously and more or less instantaneously show up, is have a scene maybe with Varda and Manwë that indicates that they're aware that this has happened.
The problem there is that Varda and Manwë should be aware of a lot more than just what happened.
Well, in the book they bring everybody involved. They find out all the backstory afterwards. They don't know that it's all happening. Otherwise, why would they need to find out afterwards?
Well, the part that was a mystery to them was that Melkor was the source of the Whisper campaign.
Right.
They saw the growing unrest of the Noldor. Mm-hmm. They were very much aware of what was happening. The only thing that came out in the investigation was, and Melkor was behind it the whole time. Which is what the hosts really don't want happening at the end of this episode.
I'm saying that we can. I really don't think that we can support not finding that out past episode 11, because in episode 11 we're going to have Melkor approaching Feanor, and asking.
Yeah, Melkor knows the game is up.
Right.
At this point, Melkor has to know. So, one thing we could do at the end of the episode would be to show Melkor fleeing.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be okay, exciting thing is still happening, and he's... Yeah. So if we show that at the end, I feel like that would be a follow-up to the sword drawing that would kind of count for something.
Mm-hmm. So maybe he knows that it's not that they're gonna figure it out at that point.
He knows that he's gonna get blamed for this, even if he thinks he covered his tracks well.
And that does keep. That can be ambiguous as well, because of course, just because he's leaving doesn't necessarily mean just because he thinks he's going to get blamed doesn't mean he's guilty. Now, in this case, he's guilty.
Yeah.
But we don't have to have him. But
he does not admit.
Yeah, it's not an action that will condemn him necessarily. Right then. Like, people have fled things or gone away from situations where it's like, well, I didn't do anything, but
I'm gonna get.
Holy cow! Everyone thinks I did.
Yeah. But then the question is what to do with the Eonwë showing up thing, and
I am suggesting that we push for having that take place at the beginning of episode 11. That there's, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I hear you, and it's doable. I think that the reason you want to do it isn't doable, so I'm gonna have to fight with you on that next week. Meaning, I know you want more to come out on the Valor side at that point, and I'm thinking the hosts want to save it for episode 12.
Right, but what
And
I'm
that's
what I'm
just-
saying though is that we're gonna run into a structural problem with episode 11, the way that they have it currently set up.
Yes, which we can deal with in a week.
All right. Well,
I just have to say.
You know, it's funny is ever since Westworld has started, every time you call them the hosts, I think of like androids. So now I think they're like robots, murderous robots.
Does execs work better for you?
Host is fine. It's just although
It's slightly disturbing imagery.
yeah, the host works fine. It's just one of those things I figured I'd mention. It's either that or I think of the host from Angel, who gets a name later, but for like a half a season or so, he's just called the host.
all right. Well, let's start to dig into this because we only have a few minutes before we have to take a break. So, if we make Fingolfin our protagonist, I think that one of the things that needs to happen in Act 1 is we need to get the Melkor pronouncing that Fingolfin will be the king of the Noldor one day.
Yes.
Okay, because if we get that, we get Caranthir witnessing this and slinking off, presumably to tell dear old dad. That's going to start setting up our conflict for this episode here.
Right.
Because this conflict centers around Fingolfin and Feanor.
Yeah.
No, I agree that the fortune telling scene had to be in the first act.
Yeah.
It sets everything up.
Okay. So what do we want to do with our tag in this episode then? Our
Intro.
Our intro. Yeah. The teaser in this episode.
We ended last episode with Varda blessing the Silmarils, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was right after Turgon's wedding, and I
can't think of anything that's obvious to start on.
Well,
but we do want to start. I think we want to start on Fingolfin without an obvious other thing, right?
Well, one thing that we might do is actually open up with Feanor walking around Tyrion with the Silmarils on his brow.
Okay. Yeah, that's good imagery to hammer into people. I agree.
And everybody just in awe of him and the Silmarils at this point.
Yes.
And maybe even show kind of a disgruntled Fingolfin shooting angry eyes at Finarfin watching this happening.
I agree that those are the three characters we need.
Yeah.
Fingolfin, Finarfin, Feanor. If that's how we start out the episode, then Fingolfin's issue with Feanor becomes basically jealousy.
Well, that's kind of what they're looking for, and I'm looking to set that up in as understandable a way as possible. Because quite honestly, I would find that particularly irritating if I saw any person getting that kind of adulation from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Particularly somebody you know really well.
Especially if I knew them well and I didn't think they were that good a person.
Yes.
Right. So this is going to be he's famous. Yeah, he's really good at what he does, but he's actually a jerk in real life. And
Right.
I know it because I'm his brother.
Yes.
That's the vibe we're getting out of this.
Yes.
Which is kind of the whole celebrity thing, where lots of celebrities get praise and adulation for their skill set, but maybe not for their personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Sports, you get plenty of athletes, professional athletes who have committed crimes. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that, but then you've got, I don't know. If I'm in Baltimore, obviously, and we have the Ravens here.
Yeah, you've had a few.
The Ravens.
You've had a few of these types.
We've got some guys who are guilty of murder, and but the one who's most famous for that is also really well known for being for his good sportsmanship. He's actually a team player, and he's a really great guy on the field. He just, maybe got involved in something where someone ended up dead.
Oh my.
Yeah, well, he and some guys were like out, and there was drinking involved, and there were insults involved, and then there was a dead body on the side of the road. And
yeah. No, I remember this.
All right.
I mean, yeah, but we have another guy.
I'm a fan of the Steelers, and of course we knew about this.
Yeah. Well, you've got your guys too.
Oh yes, yes. I think every pro team does.
But we have another guy who is not actually guilty of anything criminal. Like, there's no rape charges or murder charges or illegal dogfighting charges or none of that. He's a straight up guy, but he's also completely full of himself and a complete jerk, and everybody hates him. Like his teammates hate him because he's just so completely full of himself. He's really good at what he does, but not a team player. So celebrities are handled in a very complicated way. What makes you popular and what makes people decide that you're not worth it anymore, it's not necessarily how bad you are. It's a little bit about what your public image is.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right. Why don't we take a break real quick?
Okay.
If you're watching this live, hang on. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. If you're watching this on YouTube later on, definitely like and share the videos if you want to share them. You can do that on if you're watching it live too. I'm just saying. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe so you can get these delivered right to your doorstep digitally. Also, check out the links below. We have links for Signum University, Mythgard Academy, and the forums where you can participate in these discussions in more detail. Of course, if you like, you can always comment down below if we're getting this all wrong, so that we can summarily explain to you why we're not. And we'll be back in a minute, everybody.